Alex and I met in a pretty unusual way about 8 years ago. We were both stuck in a small-town diner during the huge flood in 2016. With the roads blocked and cell service down, we spent 6 hours playing cards with a group of locals. In what could have been a really stressful situation, Alex managed to make me laugh. Once the service came back, we exchanged Instagram accounts, started dating about a month later, and got married 2 years after that. Now, our daughter Max is 6, and I can honestly say she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. She's this little ball of energy, constantly dancing, spinning, and jumping on the furniture, even though I've told her a million times not to. A few months ago, she came home from school excitedly talking about her friend Olivia taking dance classes and how the teacher lets them wear real ballet shoes. She begged me to let her take classes too. I thought it was a great idea. Max is full of energy, and dance seemed like a perfect fit. But when I brought it up to Alex that night, his reaction was off. He looked up from his phone and laughed. It wasn't a kind laugh. It was this dismissive snort that immediately put me on edge. He told me that we couldn't afford luxuries like dance lessons on just his salary. If I wanted Max to do expensive things, I should be contributing more financially. That completely took me by surprise. After Max was born, I cut back to part-time work, which was something we both agreed on. As far as I knew, we weren't struggling financially. We live in a modest house, have 2 old cars that are paid off, and while we don't take extravagant vacations, I didn't think we were in such bad shape that we couldn't afford $60 a month for dance classes. But when I said that, Alex pulled up our bank app and showed me how little we had left after bills. The numbers seemed off, but I couldn't quite put my finger on why. Alex has always handled our finances since he's great with numbers, so I just agreed to take on a second job. I found an evening shift at a diner nearby. The schedule was brutal, my regular job during the day, then working 4 nights a week waiting tables. I came home exhausted, with sore feet, smelling like fryer oil. Alex told me I was being dramatic whenever I mentioned how tired I was. He actually said, and I'll never forget this, that I didn't deserve to be tired if I wasn't contributing more financially. I swallowed my pride because, well, this was all for Max's dance classes. But 3 months into my second job, Max still wasn't signed up for any classes. Every time I brought it up, Alex had an excuse. The good studio was full. We should wait until the next session. We needed to save a bit more first. But as time passed, I started noticing things. Like Max talking about going to the zoo when she was with Alex on the nights I worked. Or coming home with new toys I hadn't bought. Or mentioning someone named Caddy who I was told was Daddy's friend. When I casually asked Alex about Caddy, he said she was just a coworker going through a divorce and sometimes hung out with them because she was lonely. He claimed she was great with kids and it gave him some adult conversation when I was at work. I guess that made sense, but then Max started saying strange things like how Caddy takes better photos than Mommy. Or asking if Caddy could come to my birthday. And then it got even weirder, she started calling me Mira instead of Mommy sometimes. When I asked her about it, she shrugged and said, Caddy calls you Mira, so I thought that was your name too. That raised a lot of red flags. I checked Alex's Instagram but found nothing suspicious. I checked his Facebook too. Still nothing. When I tried bringing her up again, Alex got annoyed and told me I was being paranoid, that his friendship with Caddy wasn't something I needed to worry about. Things really started falling apart 3 months ago. One night, I came home early because the diner was slow. The house was empty, Alex's car was gone, and he wasn't responding to my texts. He finally answered saying they were getting ice cream and would be home soon. An hour later, they came back, but Max was wearing a brand new outfit I didn't recognize and was going on and on about a cartoon movie they'd just watched. Not ice cream. A movie. And from the way she was talking, it was clear Caddy had been there too. After Max went to bed, I confronted Alex. I asked why he'd lied about where they were. Why did Max have new clothes when we supposedly couldn't afford dance classes? And who exactly was this Caddy person to our family? He gave me this cold look I'd never seen before and said, maybe if you were more fun, she'd still call you Mommy. I just stood there, shocked, angry, and hurt. But I didn't say anything. I just nodded and walked away because what do you even say to something like that? That was 5 months ago. Since then, I've been paying attention. Working and observing. The pattern is clear. Alex has these work dinners that always seem to fall on my nights off. Max mentions staying at Caddy's house sometimes when I have overnight shifts. There are charges on our credit card for restaurants and movies on nights Alex said he was working late. Alex has new clothes, a fancy new smartwatch, but we still can't afford Max's dance classes. Last week, while I was helping Max clean her room, I found a stack of photos hidden in her dresser drawer. There were pictures of her, Alex, and a woman I didn't recognize at an amusement park. A water park. What looked like a Christmas gathering. The photos were dated. This has been going on for over a year, before I even got the second job. The woman, who I assume is Caddy, is one of those Instagram influencer types. Blonde, perfect teeth, and casual, expensive clothes that probably cost a week's worth of my diner wages. In one photo, Max is wearing a real dance outfit, complete with a tutu. The date on the back was over a year ago. So, he told me we couldn't afford dance classes, made me work a second job, and all while he was taking Max to dance classes with another woman and spending a ton of money doing it. Yesterday, Max asked me if Caddy was going to be her new someday. Just like that, over breakfast, in between bites of cereal, I nearly dropped my coffee mug. I asked her what made her think that. She shrugged and said, "Because Daddy and Caddy are special friends, and she sleeps in Daddy's room when I stay at her house." I don't even know how to process that information. I haven't confronted Alex yet because I need to be smart about it. I can't just blow up and make things worse for Max. So here's my plan. I'm requesting copies of all our financial records for the past year. I'm adjusting my diner shifts to better match Max's schedule. I'm saving every photo, every bit of evidence I can find. I've also made an appointment with a lawyer next week. I'm done being gaslit. Done working myself to exhaustion while my husband builds a new family with another woman. Done watching my daughter drift away from me. I feel like I'm living in an alternate reality, where everything I thought I knew has been a lie. First update. So, I have some updates, and they're not good. Remember how I said I was going to request copies of our financial records? Well, I took it a step further. Alex has always handled the finances, insisting I'm not good with money. Those were his words, not mine. Our main account is joint, but he set up the online banking years ago, and I realized I didn't even have the login details anymore. The password I thought we used didn't work when I tried it. Instead of asking him, which would have tipped him off, I went to our bank branch last Wednesday during my lunch break. The teller gave me a skeptical look when I told her I needed statements but didn't have online access to my own account. But when I showed my ID and explained that I was a joint account holder who simply needed access, she was really helpful. What I found made me want to vomit right there in the bank. For the past 18 months, Alex has been transferring regular amounts, usually between $300 and $500, into a separate account I didn't know about, like clockwork, on the first of every month. Plus, there were random additional transfers, sometimes small, sometimes large, especially after what I now realize were his work trips. The total for just the past year? Over $30,000. $30,000. And here I am, working double shifts at a diner for months, because we supposedly couldn't afford $60 a month for dance classes. That's less than what he moves into that mystery account in a single day sometimes. But wait, it gets worse. Or better, depending on how you look at it. The statements showed regular charges at places I didn't recognize. Restaurant bills way higher than anything we'd ever spend as a family. There were hotel charges in nearby cities. A $1,000 jewelry purchase for Christmas, when my gift from him was a $20 scarf from Target, which I was grateful for at the time because we were on a tight budget. After leaving the bank, I went home and did something I've never done before. I went through Alex's desk drawers while he was at work. I felt like a criminal in my own house, my hands shaking as I sorted through the papers. But what I found was worse than I imagined. A credit card statement for an account in Alex's name only, with charges for plane tickets to Florida 3 months ago. During that week, he told me he was at a training conference upstate. 2 tickets, one under his name, one under Caddy Harrington. I took photos of everything with my phone. Evidence. Then I found the property tax statement for a condo across town that I had no idea we owned. Or rather, Alex owns. His name only on the document, purchased a year ago. Guess where Max goes on those nights when I work late? Not Caddy's house as she says, but a whole separate property that my husband bought without my knowledge. Edit. And that's when everything started clicking into place. For months I'd been killing myself at the diner for a few hundred extra dollars. Money he didn't even need. I used to think he made me get that second job because we were struggling. Because maybe things were tighter than I realized. But now, I see it for what it was. A way to keep me busy. Out of the house? Too exhausted to ask questions. If I'm gone every night? Then Caddy gets to be the one doing bedtime. Making pancakes. Playing mommy. That second job wasn't about dance classes. It was about getting me out of the way. I spent the rest of the afternoon in a weird, calm state of shock. Just methodically taking photos of everything I found, putting it all back exactly where it was, and then sitting on our back porch, staring at nothing until it was time to pick up Max from school. When she came running out of the building, face lighting up when she saw me instead of Alex, he usually does pick up on Wednesdays, I made a decision. No more diner shifts during her waking hours. No more missing bedtimes and school events. No more letting this other woman take my place. That night, I called the diner and rearranged my schedule. Early morning shifts before Max wakes up. And just 2 evening shifts on weekends when she has activities with friends. Less money. But I'd rather eat ramen for dinner than miss another moment of my daughter's childhood. Alex was surprised when I told him about the schedule change. Asked if this meant I was quitting the second job entirely. I just smiled and said I wanted more time with Max. He looked uncomfortable. Said something about how we still needed the extra income. I just shrugged and said I'd make it work. The next day, I took Max out for ice cream after school. Just the two of us. She seemed almost shy around me at first, which broke my heart. When had my own daughter become a stranger? But by the time we finished our Sundays, she was chattering away about her friends in school. I asked her, casual as could be, if she still wanted to take dance classes. The way her entire face lit up told me everything. So I drove straight to the dance studio Olivia attends and signed her up on the spot. Paid for a whole 3 months in advance with my own money that I'd been saving from diner tips. When I told Max, she literally started jumping up and down in the parking lot. Asked when she could tell Caddy. I kept my voice neutral and said Caddy didn't need to know everything. This could be our special thing. Just Mom and Max. That weekend was Max's first class. I bought her a proper leotard and those little ballet slippers she'd wanted so badly. Alex was weirdly quiet when we came home with her dance gear. Asked where the money came from. I just said I'd been saving for something special for Max. He didn't push it, but I could tell he wasn't happy. Over the next couple weeks, I kept digging. Found Caddy's Instagram account. Private. But her profile picture confirmed she was the woman from the photos. Found her LinkedIn. Works at the same company as Alex. Big surprise. Found the registration for that condo. Purchased just 2 months after he told me we needed to tighten our belts and I should pick up extra shifts. Every discovery made me angrier but also more determined. I started making backup copies of important documents. Set up my own bank account at a different bank and began transferring small amounts from my diner tips into it. Asked my mom to hold onto copies of the evidence I'd gathered just in case. Told her Alex and I were having issues but didn't get into details. Didn't want to worry her yet. Last Tuesday I had a consultation with a lawyer. Laid everything out. The secret accounts, the condo, the trips, all of it. She listened without judgment, taking notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. When I finished, she looked up from her notepad and asked what I wanted. I realized I hadn't actually articulated that. Even to myself. What did I want? I want my daughter back. Fully and completely. I want financial stability that doesn't depend on a man who's been lying to me for years. I want to never again feel like I'm crazy for questioning things that don't add up. I want Caddy out of my family's life. I want Alex to face consequences for what he's done. The lawyer nodded and said we had options. With the financial evidence I'd gathered, plus the documentation of his ongoing relationship with Caddy, I had grounds for a favorable divorce settlement. She advised me to continue gathering evidence, but to be careful not to tip my hand too soon. Meanwhile, things with Max have been getting better every day. She loves her dance classes, asks me to practice with her at home instead of telling me about what Caddy taught her. Yesterday, she called me mommy again for the first time in months and I had to excuse myself to the bathroom so she wouldn't see me crying. Alex has been acting increasingly nervous, checking his phone more often, coming home late and leaving early. Yesterday, I overheard him on the phone in our backyard, speaking in that hushed, tense voice people use when they're arguing but don't want to be overheard. Caught fragments about suspicious and asking questions and need more time. I pretended not to notice. Last night, things came to a head in a way I wasn't expecting. Alex came home from work agitated, paced around the kitchen while I made dinner, checking his watch every few minutes. Finally asked when I was going to give up this dance class nonsense because it was an unnecessary expense. I kept chopping vegetables, didn't even look up. Said Max loved her classes and I'd already paid for 3 months in advance. He slammed his hand on the counter hard enough to make the dishes rattle. Demanded to know where I got the money. I finally looked up, knife still in hand, and told him I'd been saving my tips. That money I earned was mine to spend, especially on our daughter. His face did this weird thing, like he couldn't decide whether to be angry or afraid. He ended up storming out, slamming the door. She heard the noise from her room and came running down, asked where Daddy went. I just hugged her and said he needed some air. We ended up having a girls' night, pizza, nail painting, and practicing her dance moves in the living room. He didn't come home until after midnight. I pretended to be asleep. This morning, I got a text from Alex's mom asking if we were still coming to their anniversary party next weekend. Mentioned how they were looking forward to seeing us and how his dad was excited to finally meet Alex's friend Caddy, who would also be attending. Read that again. His parents' anniversary party, where he's invited Caddy. His parents, who apparently know about her but have been led to believe she's just a friend. I texted back that of course we'd be there and how nice it would be to meet Caddy myself. Screenshot saved, of course. Then because I think I just found the perfect opportunity to reveal everything I know. A family gathering where Alex can't make a scene, where his parents will be witnesses, where Caddy will be present, and where I can finally stop pretending I don't know what's going on. The lawyer thought it was risky but potentially effective. Suggested I bring printed copies of key financial documents. Nothing that could be dismissed as misunderstood or explained away. So that's where things stand now. 1 week until the anniversary party. I'm terrified but also weirdly calm. I've started putting together what my mom would call a fuck you folder. Copies of bank statements, property records, photos, everything neatly organized. Evidence that can't be denied or explained away. I'm done being the exhausted waitress working double shifts while my husband builds a secret life with another woman. I'm done being gaslit about our finances. I'm done watching another woman try to take my place as Max's mother. Second update. It's been 4 days since my last update and things are moving fast now. I'm writing this from my mom's guest room at 2 a.m. because I can't sleep. This week has been a roller coaster. So the anniversary party is tomorrow and I've been preparing on multiple fronts. But something happened yesterday that I didn't expect and it's thrown me a bit off balance. Let me back up and fill you in on everything since my last post. The day after I discovered Alex was planning to bring Caddy to his parents' anniversary party, I decided to take a calculated risk. I called his mom directly, something I rarely do since Alex usually handles family communications. I casually mentioned I was looking forward to finally meeting Caddy at the party and asked what she knew about her. There was this weird pause on the phone. Then his mom said something that confirmed everything. She told me how Alex had explained that Caddy was helping with Max while I was focused on building my career with my second job, that I was struggling to balance motherhood and work and Caddy was just stepping in as a friend. His mom actually sounded sympathetic toward Caddy, this woman who's been sleeping with my husband and playing mommy to my daughter. She mentioned how Alex brought Caddy to their house for dinner last month when I was working late. I was working late at the diner to supposedly help our family finances. I made some vague agreeable noises and ended the call before I could say something I'd regret. Then I sat in my car in the Target parking lot and screamed into my jacket for about 5 minutes. After that call, I reached out to my own mom for help. I've been keeping her somewhat in the dark about how bad things really are because she lives 3 hours away and I didn't want her to worry. But I needed backup, so I finally told her everything. Mom was furious, not just at Alex, but at me for not telling her sooner. We had this intense conversation where she kept saying she'd drive up immediately and I kept insisting I needed to handle this myself. We compromised. She'd come up the day after the anniversary party to help with Max while I sorted through the aftermath. With that backup secure, I turned my focus to 3 priorities: strengthening my relationship with Max, finalizing my evidence collection, preparing myself mentally for what was coming. For Max, I've been fully committed to dance class time. I joined that parent class I mentioned, and while I'm honestly terrible at it, seriously, I have the coordination of a newborn giraffe. Max thinks it's hilarious in the best way. She's been teaching me the moves she learns in her class, all serious and professional like a tiny dance instructor. It's become our special thing. Wednesday afternoon, I picked her up early from school and took her to get ice cream. While we were sitting there with our sundaes, she asked me something that broke my heart all over again. She wanted to know if I was mad at her for liking Caddy. I had to take a deep breath before answering, told her that I could never be mad at her for caring about someone and that grown-up stuff between me and Daddy and Caddy wasn't her fault or her problem. She seemed relieved but then asked another bomb of a question. She wanted to know if Caddy was going to live with them at the other house all the time now. I asked her what she meant by the other house. She explained it like it was the most normal thing that Daddy and Caddy have a house where she sometimes stays over and it has a pretty pink room just for her with all kinds of toys that don't fit in our house. She even has her own toothbrush there with unicorns on it. So there it was. Confirmation that the condo I discovered in Alex's name is basically Caddy's place, where they've been playing house with my daughter. They've set up a whole parallel life, complete with a bedroom for Max. I managed to keep it together, asked a few more questions like I was just curious, not having my world tilted on its axis again, found out the other house has a pool in the building and that Miss Caddy makes really good pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse. That night, after Max was asleep, I laid out every piece of evidence I'd collected. Bank statements, property records, photos, text screenshots. I created what my lawyer called a divorce documentation package. Everything neatly organized in a folder with copies stored in both digital and physical form in multiple locations. One set with my mom, one in my personal email, one in a new Google Drive account Alex knows nothing about. Then I did something I hadn't planned on. I drove by the condo address I'd found in Alex's papers. I didn't intend to go inside or confront anyone, I just needed to see it for myself. It was in one of those fancy new mixed-use developments downtown, the kind with boutique shops on the ground floor and luxury apartments above. The kind that costs more per month than what we pay on our mortgage. The following day, Alex began acting strangely. He came home early from work, which is unusual for him, and started asking oddly specific questions. He wanted to know about my schedule, who was watching Max while I worked at the diner, and whether my mom was planning to visit soon. At one point, he picked up my phone from the kitchen counter and asked if I had changed the passcode. I hadn't. I had been careful to stick to my usual routine. I told him no, he must have misremembered it. He tried again and managed to get in. He quickly scrolled through something, then casually set the phone down as if it was nothing. That evening, he suggested we have a talk about our relationship, something he's avoided for the entire time we've been married. He started by acknowledging how difficult things had been recently but assured me that we could work through this rough patch. He suggested I cut back on my hours at the diner as it was adding stress for everyone. I simply nodded and said I'd think about it. Inside, alarms were going off in my head. He knew something was off. Maybe Caddy had seen me outside the condo. Or maybe his mom had said something about our phone call. Perhaps he noticed the missing financial documents I had copied and returned to his desk. Friday morning, yesterday, I woke up to find Alex already gone, which was unusual for a weekday. His side of the bed hadn't been slept in. Max said he left before she woke up. I dropped Max off at school and then went to meet my lawyer one last time before the anniversary party. We went over everything again, reviewed the evidence, discussed how to approach the confrontation, and talked about what might happen afterward. She warned me that Alex might try to gaslight everyone or become angry. He might even try to turn his family against me. But with the evidence I had, denying the truth would be difficult for him. When I got home, I found a vase of roses on the kitchen counter. There was a card that read, "I love our family. T. In 8 years of marriage, Alex has only sent me flowers twice. Once when we were dating and once after Max was born. These weren't apology flowers. These were, I know you know, flowers. I put them in the guest bathroom and carried on with my day. By the time I picked up Max from school, I had 17 missed calls from Alex. I texted him, explaining that my phone had been on silent during a meeting and asking if everything was okay. He called back immediately. He asked where I was, where Max was, and sounded panicked. I told him we were heading to the mall to find an outfit for Max to wear to his parents' anniversary party. He seemed to relax, said he'd be home for dinner and asked if we could have a family night. I agreed. He showed up with pizza and ice cream, Max's favorites. He spent the evening playing the role of Superdad games, homework, offering to help with bath time. It felt like I was watching an actor audition for Father of the Year. After Max went to bed, he sat next to me on the couch, closer than he had been in months. He started talking about how maybe we should take a family vacation soon. Just the three of us. He said he'd been thinking about our future and how much Max needed both of us. I just sat there, watching him perform this role of devoted husband, wondering if he actually thought I was buying it. At one point, he reached for my hand, and I let him take it. It seemed easier than pulling away. His palm was sweaty. He asked if I was still planning to go to his parents' anniversary party the next day. I said, of course, why wouldn't I be? The relief on his face was almost comical. Then he casually mentioned that his friend Caddy probably wouldn't be coming after all, due to a family emergency. I nodded, said it was too bad, as I'd been looking forward to meeting her. This morning, I woke up to find Alex watching me sleep. Not in a romantic way, but in a nervous, observant way. When I opened my eyes, he quickly pretended he was just getting up and asked if I wanted breakfast. He wondered if we should take Max to the park before heading to his parents' house later. I smiled and said that sounded nice. After I took a shower, I came out to find him scrolling through my phone again. He didn't see me standing in the hallway. I cleared my throat, and he jumped, startled, dropping my phone on the couch. That's when I decided I needed a backup plan. After breakfast, I told Alex I had to run a quick errand to pick up a gift for his parents. Instead, I drove straight to my mom's house. I explained everything that had happened over the past few days and asked if she could come with me right now, instead of waiting until tomorrow. Mom didn't hesitate. She packed a bag in 10 minutes and we drove back together. When we pulled into the driveway, Alex was standing on the porch, arms crossed, looking like he'd seen a ghost when he saw my mom in the passenger seat. The next few hours were a weird dance. Alex trying to charm my mom while shooting me confused, panicked looks when she wasn't looking. Mom was polite but distant. I tried to act like everything was fine, all while mentally preparing for tomorrow. I told Alex I'd be staying at my mom's house that night because she needed help setting up for a brunch she was hosting next week. He tried to argue, but with my mom standing right there, he couldn't say much. So here I am at my mom's house, with my folder of evidence and a change of clothes for tomorrow's party. The anniversary party starts at 3 tomorrow afternoon. Alex thinks I'll be meeting him there. His parents are expecting both of us, plus Max. My lawyer is on standby for a call afterward. As for Caddy, I have a feeling she'll be there, despite Alex's claim about her family emergency. Either way, I'm ready. The photos will speak for themselves. I know confronting him at his parents' anniversary party might seem harsh, but after months of gaslighting, lying, and watching him try to replace me as Max's mother, I'm done protecting his feelings or his reputation. His parents deserve to know who their son really is, and I deserve to reclaim my dignity on my own terms. Final update. It's been 3 weeks since the anniversary party at Alex's parents' house. I've tried to write this update so many times, started typing, then deleted it because the words never came out right. It's hard to process everything, but I owe it to everyone who's been kind enough to reach out with messages. Thank you. I've read every message, even if I haven't had the energy to respond. That day didn't go as I expected. Mom, Max, and I arrived just after 3. Alex was already outside, pacing by the driveway. He looked awful. Unshaven, shirt wrinkled, hands fidgeting like he couldn't stay still. The moment I opened the car door, he rushed toward me, saying we needed to talk alone. Right then, I didn't want Max to witness us arguing, so I said I'd go inside to see his parents first and kept walking. He followed, muttering something I couldn't hear. Inside, the house felt warm and familiar, with pictures of his parents 40 years together on every wall, and about 15 or 20 people chatting over drinks. His mom quickly came over, hugged Max, complimented her dress, and then turned to me. She said she was glad I made it, because Alex had told her I might be stuck at work. It stung to realize that he'd been making excuses for me. I told her I'd rearranged my schedule weeks ago to be there. She hesitated for a moment, unsure what to say next, then smiled and moved on. I had the folder with me, the one I'd spent days putting together with bank statements, photos, and property papers. When people started sitting down for lunch, I handed it to his mom. I told her it was something she should see regarding our family. She opened it and started flipping through the pages, the transfers to the secret account, photos of Alex and Caddy with Max, the condo records. Her expression shifted, disbelief washing over her. Alex reached for it, saying it wasn't what it looked like, but his dad stepped in, took the folder and started reading too. He didn't say a word, just kept flipping through the pages. Alex kept trying to explain, claiming I misunderstood, that the money was for something else, that the photos were old. It all sounded hollow. His dad eventually looked up and asked if it was all true. Alex stumbled over some excuse about our marriage being tough, but it didn't stick. His mom asked why I hadn't told them sooner. I said I'd only recently discovered the full truth myself. She nodded, though I could see she was torn, unsure of how to handle it. Then Caddy arrived. About half an hour later, I heard the doorbell, and there she was, holding a gift bag and smiling like she belonged. Alex went pale, rushed to her, and whispered something, trying to get her to leave. She saw me, hesitated, but didn't speak. His sister approached her first, asking if she knew Alex was married. Caddy said yes, but he had told her we were separated and just staying together for Max until things were settled. His sister showed her a photo from the folder, one of the three of us at Christmas, and asked how separated that looked. Caddy didn't have an answer. She left a few minutes later, with Alex trailing behind her, claiming he'd explain everything to his family later. Max had been outside, thankfully, playing with my mom and some cousins in the backyard, away from it all. His dad came over after a while, asked if everything I'd brought was accurate. I told him it was. He nodded, apologized, and that was it. His mom continued circulating among the guests, but I caught her eye a few times, as though she wanted to say more. She finally asked if we could talk privately later, but I said I needed to get Max home soon. I thanked them for having us, apologized for how things turned out, and we left. His dad shook my hand. His mom gave me a quick, uncertain hug. That night, Alex called repeatedly. I didn't answer. The next day, I went to my lawyer and began the divorce paperwork. Still not finished. Nowhere close. We filed for temporary custody of Max, but Alex is pushing back, claiming I'm trying to cut him out of her life. He moved out a few days later and took his clothes and some belongings from the garage when I was at the diner. I think he's at the condo now, but I haven't asked. Max has been the hardest part. She keeps asking where Daddy is and why he doesn't come home. I tell her we're living apart now, but we both love her very much. Some days she accepts it, other days she doesn't. Last weekend, she cried herself to sleep, saying she missed him and Caddy and wondering if they were mad at her. I held her, told her it wasn't her fault, but it broke my heart. She still mentions things from Caddy's house, the pool, the toys, and I'm not sure how to handle that yet. I cut back my diner shifts to a few early mornings so I can be there for Max after school. Money is tight. Alex is supposed to pay support, but nothing's settled yet, and the court is taking forever. I'm managing with my regular job and what's left of my tip savings. Max is still in dance classes, though. She loves them too much to quit, and seeing her smile there keeps me going. Alex has shown up at the diner twice since that night. The first time he stood by the counter, looking like he hadn't slept, asking if we could talk. I told him I was working and kept moving. My manager had to tell him to leave. The second time he waited outside until my shift ended, saying he'd made a mistake and wanted to fix things. I told him I couldn't do this anymore and walked away. He's texted a few times since, short messages about missing us. I haven't replied. His parents called last Sunday. His mom asked how Max was doing, saying they didn't realize how bad things had gotten. She sounded sad, maybe guilty, but didn't say much else. I told her I didn't blame them, but I need time before we talk more. I don't know what they're saying to Alex now. I'm still figuring out what comes next. Some days I feel steady, making dinner with Max, practicing her dance steps in the living room. Other days, it hits me hard. I'll sit in the car after dropping her at school and just cry, wondering how we got here. The divorce will take months, maybe longer, and I still don't know what will happen with all the money he hid. It's not over. It's not clean. But at least I'm not pretending anymore. A few days ago, my lawyer figured out where the money was coming from. Alex has been taking side contracts through work, extra jobs he never told me about, and funneling the payments into that secret account. Quietly, steadily, and completely hidden. That's how he paid for the condo, the trips, everything. While I was counting diner tips to buy ballet shoes, he was building a whole second life with money I didn't even know existed.